Christmas from Rosie and me, and I hope you've all had a lovely break, and whatever you did over your Christmas, I hope it was a good one. We had a lovely quiet one, didn't we, with Lauren and Ed were here, my daughter and her partner, and we ate too much and we played silly games and we had a really nice time. And I'm looking forward to a new year, New Year's Eve. We don't do very much for New Year's Eve because fireworks, and so I tend to stay home, or I go over to my friend Tracy's house, who we camp together. But this year she's coming here, and I've got two other friends coming to stay, so we should have a really lovely happy new year. Hey, will we have a happy new year? Rosie can't quite figure out who I'm talking to. So 2023, wow, where's it gone? I had the hope that I would be posting a lot more videos for you this year, and I have taken a lot of video, but my editing time has been really eaten into, and I would say that's a bad thing, but actually this year it's been quite amazing. So I think some of you have probably guessed that part of my life is quite involved in dogs. My working life is split into three, which is, as a photographer, that's a good thing because we like working in thirds. So I do some support work, and then I have my classes and all my sewing and my slow stitching and the projects that go with it. And then I have, for the last 9 or 10 years, I've been working as a behaviourist. Now I did kind of slow that one down when I had my collie Luna, because she had to be my main focus. She needed so much work and time and love and training. So I sort of did a little bit of a back step. So a lot of the years that I had her were much more focused on sewing, and more of that life. But this year it's really been about dogs. It's been quite amazing. Last year I started working as a support behaviourist for a charity called RATS, which is the Rehoming Animal Telephone Service, and they primarily like to keep their dogs in foster, but they do have kennels. And so you didn't come from there though, did you? You didn't come from there. No, you didn't. So they officially took me on this year as their sort of in-house behaviourist. So I've been doing a lot of pre-adoption chats with prospective adoptees. I've been assessing dogs that are in the kennels, and I've also been going out and doing support consultations with people who have rescue dogs who, for whatever reasons, they're struggling with behavioural issues and they need a lot of support. And RATS are amazing because they supply me, and I've also been working with my own clients as well. So it's been a busy second half of this year. So she's wagging her tongue. You're so good. So my editing time has been rather limited, I'm afraid, and I do apologise. You're going to get flooded now because I've got part 2 and part 3 of Wales. But I thought for Christmas, for the kind of the end of year roundup, I would take you back, and I've put together a compilation of all of the kind of the short weekends that we did away. We had lots of little weekends and lots of zoomy trips to places. So we went to Cornwall, and we went to Hereford, and we went to Billing, which was a story in itself. Where else did we go? The Gower in Wales, and Northumberland. And I didn't actually get to do any sewing in Northumberland because the weather was it was appalling. We had rain and wind like it was biblical. We did survive it, but our tarpaulin took a bit of a hammering. But we've had fun, and the dogs have loved it. They've been terrific camping partners. You can see Rosie's in a bit of post-Christmas knackeredness. So I'm going to roll the camera back and just take you through this year on some little adventures. And I continued to work on the 365 project. Oh, Norfolk, we went to Norfolk as well. So I continued to work on the 365 project. I have to say I've not got an enormous way through it, because this year just didn't turn out to be the year I thought it would be. So I'm, instead of it being a 365, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a month by month. But because there's a lot of things in the months that repeat, what I've decided to do is, rather than trying to do this every day, which in my life it just doesn't happen, what I thought I'd do is do it so that in January these are the things that happen in January, and then I can add things in. February, these are the things that always happen in February, and I can add things in March, and so forth. So the book will be a one-off, but it will be a compilation, so I will just keep adding to those months because they're double pages. But I have done quite a lot on it, and so I'll put some stills up of the stuff that I've done. And I finally got round to making some new Christmas bits and pieces for my cottage, so I'll show you those as well. And so anyway, here's 2023 in a nutshell, and I hope you enjoy them. Billing Aquadrome, and we've come away for just a weekend, so it's not too far away from where we all live. I have to go to work on Sunday, so it was kind of a compromise, but we wanted to come away and have a bit of a weekend away. And the weather's been really mixed. We've had downpours, and we've had torrential rain, and we've had wind, and we've had the muddiest, probably the muddiest camp we've had to date. So I've done a few bits and pieces since the last video. I'll just put that down there for a minute. For those of you who didn't see the last video, the Welsh one, basically this is my kit for coming away, which was really scary because I had to pare everything down, but it's down to a friction pen, embroidery scissors, one needle, the threads that I need, and my recycled pillowcase, which has got the designs on it, and I'm doing January at the moment. So although it's a 365 project, as some of you will know, I'm not doing 5 minutes every day because it's unrealistic for my world. So I'm doing one thing every day that I mark on my phone, and then when I'm away and I've got time, then I then stitch a few. And I thought today I would work on the next week's one with my Thursday class, because they learned how to do a log cabin patchwork block. So I thought I'd do some satin stitch work, and I haven't loaded anything up, but I decided that I'd choose the sort of selection of greens. So there's, what you normally do with log cabin is you have it, I'll show you in a minute when you see the design, but you start with a square in the middle, and then you add a square, then you add a rectangle, then you add a rectangle, and it's like a snail shell, so it kind of builds up and goes around. But if you look on the diagonal, one diagonal will be one colour, one diagonal will be the other, and you work either from light to dark out, or you work from dark to light out. So I'm going to work light to dark, but I'm going to start with the greens on one side and kind of mauvey pink colours on the other, and then in the middle I'm just going to use a really deep lavender or lilac-y lavender colour. So we're on a campsite called Billing Aquadrome. Some of you may know it. It's a lot noisier than we normally come to. So in the background you'll hear a train, you'll hear the fairground, you'll hear traffic, you'll hear people, you'll hear children playing. You can hear a beep in the background, that's going to be the train. There's a little miniature train that goes all the way around. But we had a lovely walk this morning, walked through the site, and I did a bit of training with Rosie, who incidentally is fast asleep, as you've just seen in the clip. She came back and flagged. She's done lots of work today. She didn't really know what to do with swans and geese. She's not met them before, so we did some work with that. But she had a bit of a bad night last night. She slept really well the first night we were here, and then last night, just as we were going to bed, somebody let off a firework, and that and actually there's some banging going on at the moment, and she's not looking terribly relaxed, so she might turn up in a minute and be a little bit worried, but she's okay. But she didn't sleep very well, so this morning when she woke up she was very wired. So she was barking at the geese, barking at the ducks, barking at the swans, barking at the bikes, barking at the cars, barking at everything. What can you do? So I just did some really basic training with her, some just distraction training, leave it training and so forth, and she'll learn. It's just, you know, every day's a school day with her at the moment. So there's banging going on in the background, but I don't know what it is, and she appears to have gone back to sleep, so she doesn't care. My friends are gesturing to each other in the background because they don't want to be in this. They're chickens. So I'm just doing a quick anchor stitch in the back just to start the centre off, and I'm only using a single line of thread to do it through, and then I shall come up through my centre line. Now I've just got to work out which is the centre. 1, 2, 3. I think I will do that one. You're fine. You're okay. Rosie can't get up. She's just lying with her eyes doing a little bit of a what's going on. So if I just put that up to the camera, can you see there's like a little square? You start with a square, you add a square, then you add a rectangle, and you always go in the same direction. It's like building up a pattern. So I'm going to start with a central square, and I'm going to do something called satin stitch, which is where you make a single stitch. Let me show you, if I can show you in this direction, and then you go in right beside it, you come out right beside your previous stitch. So, and then it builds up, so you're going right in beside it. I'm just going to do this square and then I'll show you the effect that you end up with. Right, so that's my centre square. So if I just hold it up, it's really little. I hope that's easy to see. So can you see, you just stitch straight, you come under, and you go right up beside that stitch, under and up and beside that stitch. There will be a satin stitch tutorial in the embroideries. I'll check whether there's already one, and if there's not, then I will do one and put one in. So I'm just going to finish that one off because I'm only going to do that little piece of square. Can you see the edge of Thor there? You can see Thor's ear. Thor, you're in my video. So I just anchor that in. It's okay. And then I'm going to go the other way. So instead of stitching that way, I'm going to go this way now with the next one. So I'll just do that one and then you can see. So this is the first time we've camped with 4 of us. Normally, as you know, my friend Tracy and I usually do it together with the dogs, and this time we brought 2 friends who haven't ever camped with us before, and one of them hasn't camped since she was 10, and it has been great fun just to have a whole weekend where we've just caught up, and the other 2 girls didn't know each other before the trip, and now they've become friends, so that's really lovely. And it's been a bit of an experience, and the rain was a bit challenging yesterday. It rained all day and it was really heavy. We had to manage disgustingly muddy boots and muddy dogs and and drinks that got knocked over and foods everywhere, and it was just a bit chaotic yesterday, but it's all part of camping and it was really good fun. We played daft games and just generally had a laugh. Right, so there you go, there's, yes you can see. So I've gone one way with one and one way the other, and then I'm going to switch and swap so that you get a little bit of texture change as I go through it. So Billing Aquadrome is in Northampton, and I used to come here a long time ago when I was a spectator at Santa Pod drag racing. We used to stay here, and it was a big field with a little shop and some toilets, and now it's way bigger. It's quite strange videoing when there's lots of noise around, because I'm just not used to doing that. Other than the pub one, I tend to video when it's quiet. We don't stay places that's noisy normally, so it has been a bit of a culture shock, I have to say. And listening to traffic, because where I live we don't have traffic. We have horses and cars going past the house and farm machinery, but we don't really have that constant hum of traffic. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for me, because I'm sleeping with traffic noise behind me, which I just never do. And whenever we go away on holiday, obviously we try and find quiet places and pretty places and things, but you know, we need somewhere nearer home, so this was a good option. And I think we've convinced the other 2 that it's good fun, which is good. So they'll be coming with us, I think, on some of the other adventures, which will be a really good laugh. But there we go. So I'm keeping this one fairly short. I might add some to it later, but for now I'm just going to continue to do this. Keep going with the log cabin block. well, into every lives. A little rain must fall. We're under canvas again in the tent this weekend, and this needle of pin and a bottle of gin episode is coming from Cornwall. We're in a beautiful village called St Agnes, and we're literally across the road from Wheelcoat's tin mine, the one that used to be used in Poldark, and it's been restored a bit. But we had a lovely walk down there last night, and the sun was setting, and managed to get some shots of it with the sun set behind it. So that was really lovely. We had a nice meal of fish and chips, and the dogs had a good walk on the beach, and Thor went swimming. He's beside me in his bed at the moment. So I'm solo at the moment. My friend's gone to a wedding, which is why we're down here. And as you can hear, the weather's really bad. It's raining and it's grim, and you can see nothing across the road, which yesterday you could see the sea and you could see all the cliffs, and it was absolutely beautiful. Today it's just grey, there's nothing there. So I'm going to do a little bit of stitching, and I thought I would work on the cover for the 365 project. So I'm getting on with that, but I'm attaching, if you can see, the lace that in the introduction I showed you. There's a piece of lace. I hope you can hear me. It's so rainy. It's an introduction. In the introduction, there's a piece of lace that came off my great aunt Elsie's, one of her dresses, and I'm using a piece on here. So what I've been doing is, if you can see, I've been adding a chain stitch along this shape and along here. And what I'm now doing is just attaching the little, gone dark, the little stars, just with little catch stitches, so they just stay put really. And then I won't lose them. So as per normal, I've taken my glasses off and I can't see a thing I'm doing. So we're here for a few days. We came down on Thursday, stayed with my friends in Bridport, had a really lovely night there, lovely food, nice catch up, and then we came here yesterday. It was beautiful. We set the tent up in the dry. It was sunny. It was glorious. And we were both saying, oh, isn't it nice to not have mud? And it's so nice to be able to walk around and not have to worry about the rain coming in the tent. And then today, it's biblical out there at the moment, and it was supposed to have stopped by mid-afternoon, but it hasn't, as far as we're going at the moment. So I've just taken Tracy to the wedding, left her there, it's only up the road, and I'm back here with the dogs until she phones and says, come and get me. And then I'll go back and pick her up. And then tomorrow we're really hoping that we can get a day out somewhere, go walking with the dogs, or go down to the beach or something like that. But we're staying here until Monday morning, so we've got a visiting day, but we're not sure what time we're getting back. So I don't have a class on Monday because I didn't want to let them down at the last minute. So there. So there's a mix of stitches on here that I'm considering using, but right now all I'm doing is almost like a couching stitch. So when you do a couching stitch, it's an attaching stitch. So you're couching. I swear the rain's getting louder. I'm sure it is. You're catching up the piece of fabric or the piece of wool or anything that you want to attach to onto fabric, and you couch. So if I'll do it this way round, you just put a stitch in wherever you feel it's necessary, and it's just a little straight stitch. So if you were doing a line of, say you were putting a line of wool onto, get rid of my glasses. If you're putting a line of wool onto a piece of fabric, you would lay the wool, and then you would stitch a straight stitch directly over the wool, then you would diagonally come up under, straight stitch over, diagonally come up under, and a straight stitch over, straight stitch over. I can't do that because what I'm attaching is lace. So what I'm just doing is popping a little stitch in here and then coming out again and going into the next petal. So these are little lace flowers. So if I just show you, I'll do that one. So if I can hold it up close, can you see there's these little flowers here, and then there's little flowers there. So all I'm doing is putting a stitch in each petal, just so it secures the whole thing down, and then it's not flapping around. What I don't want is for this to get caught on anything and it rip or damage, because it's quite precious. But I want it to, I don't want to change the nature of the pattern on the lace too much either. So I'm just adding a little bit in as I go. So I'll carry on doing this, and you can listen to the rain. There's something really magical about it. The dogs are asleep. Rose is asleep in her bed, actually on my bed, and Thorbear's asleep in his bed down beside me at the moment. And he's a little bit sad. He's always a little bit sad when his mummy's not around, because he's very, very attached to his mum. And but I'm standing in as Auntie Kay. So he loves his mum and he loves his sister, and they're the two most important people in his entire life. And right now he's just got me. I'm a poor substitute, aren't I, baby? But yes, I'm just going to stitch away with this and listen to the rain, and feel very grateful that we get to come to such incredible places, even if it's just for a few days. The hedgerows are absolutely full of garlic chives and bluebells, and yesterday there was thrift out on the dunes when we were walking back up from the beach, and there's pink thrift all around, sea thrift all around, and that always reminds me of my grandma. My nan had sea thrift on her rockery in her garden, and I love it. So I think that's secured as much as I want to, really, on that side. So let's just trim this off. So I have a really sophisticated sewing box here. It's literally my chair. I haven't got nowhere else to put anything. So get my scissors. So that's the edge of the front cover so far. I'm thinking I've got antique buttons and I've got antique lace, more lace. I want to do something. That's the size. That's the cover. So I'd quite like to do something else on here, but I don't want to make it too complicated. So that's the cover. What I have been doing, I've taken it off the hoop for the moment. But I started this off when we were in Wales, and it looks a bit raggedy at the minute. But story so far, so we've got a sleeping Rosie on my bed on New Year's Eve. We've got a little rainbow bridge from Molly, who was my previous Kelpie, because we lost her. I think that might be back to front because I'm filming on the phone. There's the beginnings of a day out with the camera, so I've just done a little bit of heather and some grass. And there's the start of a woodland walk, so they will be silver birch when I've finished. There's a little pin cushion there, which is the first week back of my classes after Christmas. There's a little 50 party hat there celebrating my friend Shelley's birthday. And the one that I'm working on at the moment, which is the log cabin block that my patchwork class started the first week back after Christmas. So that's the January block. So I've almost finished it now. I've just got a little bit of green to do, then I've got the last bit of pink to do there, and then that's the block done. And then I'll probably go back to doing the trees. But I'm kind of, I do one stitch and then I'm doing it and doing it. I'm a bit fed up with that stitch now. I'm going to jump and do something different, and then I come back, or I get to a point I'm not sure how I want to continue. And the rain is literally hammering. I don't know even whether you can hear me. So I need to load this back just before I keep stitching. I need to load this back onto the embroidery hoop. So if you've never done this before, oops, you take the embroidery hoop that hasn't got a fixing in it and you put it underneath, and then you put the fixing piece over the top and you squish it down, and then you just go round and you tension it all the way around so that it's nice and tight, like a little drum. You can put these on looser and then you can tighten them up with a screwdriver, but I don't have a screwdriver with me, and I've tensioned it up as I need it. This one has a little, it's got a fixing there. So it's a bamboo one, it's nice to use, it's a really nice one. I've actually pulled that into a bit of a weird shape, but it'll sort itself out when I've finished stitching it. So there, so listen to the raindrops and I'll continue stitching. I'll try and do this so you can see it. Can you see that? So it's satin stitch I'm doing, and I'm just putting in the second line of green, and then I'll do 2 lines of pink, and then that one will be done. I use the stitches at the back, so when I'm finishing off I just run the thread up behind, and then you don't end up with a messy back to your embroidery. Cheers to you all. I'm having a cup of tea and listening to the rain now. Chasing the raindrops down the windows. This is little Thor. He's not very pleased, A, with the weather, and B, with his mummy not being here, so he's on my lap having a little cuddle while I have a cup of tea. So, cheers to you all. We're going to have a little snuggle and see if we can cheer him up a little bit.
because he's a little bit worried. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. I know. You're a good boy.